I worked in a government facility that worked to contain dangerous anomalies. These anomalies weren't just tiny things, like talking trash bins, they were much worse. These anomalies were something more. They were creatures that were formed from the fear and negative emotions. The anomalies weren't just mobsters but also places and sometimes even people. There was one monster in particular that I felt as if it was more human than monster. Anomaly 732, the man with the flipped face. This anomaly was a tall figure with a normal head but with a face that had been flipped. This anomaly was once a person that I personally knew. He had gotten into a fight with some family members that knew some dark magics, and they cursed him. All of their hatred and negativity was all focused into him, and they reshaped him into a monster. The exact ritual that they performed is unclear, but is believed to be part of a type of magic known as Dark Tredornorian, which originated from the Tredorno clan, a clan of dark arts users. The man with the flipped face is still a man, but cursed with a fearful look, and doomed to live for the end of time. His name was Hardy Wrench, I say was because after this incident I realized that he was no longer human, but a pure monster. August 31st, 2005. I was working the night security shift, and my coworker walks up to me and strikes up a conversation. As we talked, we began to hear faint noises. We naively ignored them, but as our conversation progressed, the noise had began to get louder and louder. We had held up our rifles and looked around. We heard a loud crash in the distance, followed by gunshots and screams. We clutched our weapons and aimed towards the corridor. Suddenly, the mutilated body of my supervisor had been thrown from a connecting hallway, followed by Hardy running and eating his body. The screams of my supervisor filled the air. Instinctively, I fired a shot at Hardy. My shot had nailed Hardy's shoulder, but barely penetrated his reinforced skin. Me and my coworker had begun to fire more and more rounds just as we were trained to do. But it didn't stop Hardy. He just started moving towards us. It seemed almost as if he was getting faster after each shot, and then Hardy began to run. He ran towards me and my coworker, but we held our ground. Unfortunately, that didn't work, and he was now directly in front of us, towering over us. He smashed my coworker's head with one clean cap, and then he smacked my head, sending me flying into a wall. November 27th, 2005. I woke up in a hospital room, hooked up to all these different machines. I remembered what had happened, and wondered how long I had been knocked out for. I began to break down crying in my hospital bed. A nurse that passed by had rushed into the room calling a doctor and stuff. I'd asked her what happened, and she told me that I was in a coma for nearly a month, and that I had been one of 2 survivors. I asked to see the other one, but I was informed that he had died in the hospital only a week after arriving. I broke down again, being comforted by the nurse and doctor. I retired shortly after this incident and made a family of my own. I am now married with 3 kids, but every day I remember that one horrible day, and how there are monsters that nobody even knows existed, and no matter how hard I try to protect people from those anomalies, I can never win. June 27th, 2025 -9, 44 p.m. EST.